My friend. Okay. Okay. So we're going to get into some nitty-gritty today. I had a wonderful talk with one of my friends. Shout out to Tanya, teaching me about something that I've been addicted to for decades. And I mean decades. Even at this time, when I have been living a lifestyle consisting of only liquids, I still have this in the back of my mind and in the depths of my body, and it's time for it to be on its way. So if you have ever felt that you were hopelessly addicted to a substance or something that was so normal for you at one time that you didn't even think about it, it's like they say, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. So today we're going to talk about one of the number one addictions that there is in this day and age, and also one that held me down for years and years and years, for the longest time, not even knowing that I was under its sway, under its power. And that is salt. Yes, salt. We are speaking of salt. Yeah. Now, it's not just, the salt from the salt shaker that we shake on things, putting condiments and adding things to the things that we eat, but it's also the salt that's already in the processed food. So we'll just get it. We'll list off 10 reasons why I believe it is time to let go of this substance, this thing called salt. And if you feel inspired by this, definitely let me know. Reach out, because I'm on this journey with you, my friend. These are things that I did not know. So shout out once again to Tanya. Thank you for these reasons, and we're going to get into it. So Tanya's 10 reasons why we should get rid of salt today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Today. Number 1. Egyptians used it to preserve dead bodies. That's right. Adding salt, the water evaporates. So this would assist in the mummifying process. So you're essentially mummifying your own body when you ingest this inorganic substance. So that's what the Egyptians used to do to preserve dead bodies. They would mummify them using salt. Reason number 2, never really leaves your body. Salt is inorganic, so it doesn't just leave your body like that. The body doesn't have a place to really put it or to store it. It just sits in there and just attaches, it's the sediment. It just creates obstructions and blockages in the body. It makes the heart pump faster. It dehydrates you. It just collects in the joints. So think about when you sit a grape on a countertop. After a few days, what happens to that grape? Right, you're right, my friend. That grape starts to decompose. It starts to break down if you just sit it there. Now, what happens if you just sit salt on a countertop? What happens to that salt? Right. Nothing. Nothing happens to it. It's inorganic material. It's not natural. So what do you think it's doing in your body? Number 3, it dehydrates you. The more you have, the more you need to drink. The more you're thirsty, the more you want to get it out of your body. Also, people who go through deserts and live out there in harsh climates of the desert will rarely use salt, and they rarely even have to drink water because they understand this secret that many people don't seem to understand. I didn't understand. Reason number 4, it irritates and inflames you. This is self-explanatory. It inflames the body and it also irritates the body. Number 5, when you cook zucchini or different foods, you use salt to take the water away. So if we understand that we are made up of a large percentage of water, wouldn't it be so that you need all the water you can get? Number 6, it is not found in nature. You know, table salt is chemically created. It's a compound synthesized in a lab. Like, we are the test subjects. We are the experiment. And salt is like being your own lab rat, testing it out on your body. Number 7, it is a stimulant. The blood rushes faster and you crash and need it again. It is progressive. So through the law of diminishing returns, you tend to want more and more the more you have it, because it doesn't have the same payoff. Your taste buds, it's never as good as the first time. So you need more and more to have the same effect. And it actually tricks you into eating more because it just it messes with the chemistry of your body. Reason number 8, tribal indigenous cultures never touched it. They weren't messing with salt, tribal indigenous cultures. But when settlers came and colonists came, they introduced salt, and that also introduced a whole host of problems for the indigenous peoples. But it wasn't until salt came in the picture that, things started to go really awry. So it was just one of the things that contributed to a lot of things. Also, number 9, it makes people eat things that they wouldn't otherwise. You can think of all sorts of things that would be bland and taste very dull and just uninteresting if salt weren't involved. Don't believe me? Just take a look at the label of anything that you regularly consume. Look at the back. I'm willing to bet that salt is on the label. I looked at a grocery store. I went and I looked for any sort of soups, any sort of anything, and I found salt everywhere. Even on nut milks, almond milks, and all sorts of different milks, salt was always involved. Some way, somehow, it made it to the ingredients list. For what? We don't know. Another reason, it gives cellulite. It contributes to bumpy skin. It's like drying yourself out. Animals do not ingest it. You won't see animals reaching for the salt. They don't need it. This is it's not found out in the wild. And the last reason is it is practically normalized cocaine. We don't see salt and these things as drugs, but you can get as addicted to it as you could for any other drug or any stimulant. And when you start to see it this way and decouple and desensitize yourself, you realize the dangers that salt has on your body, staying in there, developing deposits that have so many different effects later on down the line. Perhaps, like osteo and arthritis and just anything to do with the joints, in the body, having problems in later years, calcifying the pineal gland, and just really gunking up the body, obstructing it. When you think of a hose that needs to flow, if a hose is on, the water, the stream is just coming out. But the further you constrict the hose and the further you plug it up, the pressure, it starts to go very much more intense. It increases the flow. Well, that's what happens with the blood in our body. That's why we get high blood pressure. With more obstructions, smaller space, high blood pressure. It's just like the hose. So, let go of all that's not serving you. This is not only a message for anyone listening, but this is a message for myself as I am on the journey this month. At first I said this year, but I want to be done with this. And I trust that you've been inspired to think a little bit differently about this thing that we regularly consume, especially here in America, where it is known as the SAD diet or Standard American Diet. You can look at diet as an acronym for Do I Eat That? And I pray that next time anything is involving salt, you ask yourself that very question. My friend, thank you for listening. This has been Jerome Shaw on TOP, the Open Palm Podcast here in Columbia, South Carolina. I don't normally talk about things like this, but I was so inspired tonight to speak on this because it's had such an impact on my life, and it is high time for a new start, a new chapter, a new change. In order to get somewhere new, we must think something new. And to have a life you've never lived, you might be willing to do something you've never done. Let go to let more in. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if this is your first time receiving this podcast, subscribe for inspirational messages like this. If you'd like to support, head over to anchor.fm/jshaw. Clicking the support button there is much appreciated. Big shout out and thank you to the supporters who continue to donate, making it possible for episodes like this. Have a blessed day or night, wherever you are, my friend. And as always, take care.